Salam sejahtera, Anda bersama saya Reza Zulkarfi dan ini Niaga Awani. Kita mulakan dengan sedikit perkembangan luar dan juga dalam negara. Saham di Bursa Asia diniaga rendah menjelang pengumuman KDNK China suku keempat pada 10 pagi ini. Dalam masa yang sama, dagangan di Bursa Malaysia dijangka berhati-hati menjelang pengumuman Bank Negara mengenai kadar dasar semalaman. Pada Rabu, Ahli Ekonomi Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad Adam Muhammad Rahim berkata kemungkinan satu lagi pengurangan kadar oleh Bank Pusat tidak dapat dielakkan. Tambah Adam yang dipetik bernama ini berdasarkan situasi yang tidak dapat dijangka berikutan peningkatan semula kes COVID-19 dan pelaksanaan PKP 2.0. BNM akan mengadakan mesyuarat jawatankuasa dasar monetari yang pertama bagi 2021 pada 20 Januari ini. Pada masa ini, OPR berada pada paras 1.75% selepas 4 pengurangan sebanyak 125 mata asas pada tahun lepas. Secara keseluruhannya, sentimen dalam pasaran kebanyakannya berpusat pada pengisytiharan darurat di seluruh negara berikutan peningkatan kes COVID-19, pelaksanaan semula PKP di beberapa negeri bermula 13 Januari dan pakej rangsangan Amerika dan perang dagangan Amerika-China. Dan seterusnya, ringgit mungkin menguji para psikologi 4.00 berbanding dolar Amerika pada minggu ini. Ini di tengah-tengah jangkaan bahawa Bank Negara akan kekalkan kadar dasar semalaman pada 1.75% pada minggu ini. Menurut penganalisis pasaran FXTM, hantan yang dipetik bernama, tindak balas kesihatan dan ekonomi Malaysia terhadap PKP 2.0 yang sedang berlangsung bersama prestasi dolar Amerika akan menjadi pemacu utama dalam menentukan prestasi ringgit dolar Amerika bergerak ke hadapan. Tan berkata ringgit dijangka tidak akan terkesan walaupun Bank Negara Malaysia membuat pemotongan 25 mata asas memandangkan pendirian yang lebih akomodatif di kalangan bank-bank pusat global. Dan kontrak niaga hadapan minyak sawit mentah di Bursa Malaysia Derivatives dijangka merosot pada minggu ini didorong aktiviti pengambilan untung berikutan harga yang lebih tinggi. Interbank Group of Companies berkata harga dijangka berada antara 3,350 dan 3,450 ringgit satu tan pada minggu ini. Menurut Interbank yang dipetik bernama, pasaran turut dijangka menerima impak daripada ringgit yang lebih kukuh berbanding dolar Amerika. Pedagang asing membeli MSM dengan mata wang Amerika Syarikat itu. Dalam nota penyelidikan pada Jumaat, CGS CIMB berkata niaga harapan minyak sawit merosot paling tinggi dalam tempoh 8 bulan. Ini berikutan kebimbangan penghantaran dari Malaysia akan berkurangan disebabkan pembelian yang rendah oleh pembeli utama India dan China. Menurut broker dipetik bernama, selepas ekspor yang kukuh pada November dan Disember berikutan duti ekspor SIFA, penghantaran Malaysia dijangka rendah pada Januari. Beliau berkata pasaran membuat spekulasi penghantaran dalam tempoh 1 ke 15 Januari dijangka merosot kira-kira 40% daripada bulan sebelumnya. Dan kerajaan yakin pertubuhan dagangan dunia WTO akan berlaku adil dan memastikan diskriminasi tidak berlaku pada minyak sawit negara. Ia susulan langkah Kementerian Perusahaan Peradangan dan juga Komoditi memulakan tindakan undang-undang terhadap Kesatuan Eropah serta negara anggotanya berikutan kempen anti minyak sawit.
Menteri Perusahaan, Peladangan dan Komoditi Datuk Dr. Muhammad Khairuddin Aman Razali berkata pihaknya sedang menunggu maklum balas dari WTO untuk konsultasi melalui mekanisme penyelesaian pertikaian.
WTO kita anggap sebagai platform yang adil untuk semua pihak kerana dalam kaedah WTO tidak patut ada diskriminasi terhadap mana-mana barang dagangan termasuklah antaranya sawit lah yang kita mohon. Maka yang perlu ialah untuk dunia tahu bahawa kita sangat serius dalam isu melibatkan diskriminasi ini.
Beliau ditemui selepas melancarkan ladang rakyat Kenaf, Perbadanan Pembangunan Pertanian Negeri Perak di Ladang Lambur, Kampung Gajah pada Ahad. Menurutnya, Malaysia akan memberikan kerjasama penuh dalam proses tersebut khususnya dalam konsultasi dan perbincangan bersama panel WTO yang akan diadakan. Pada Jumaat, Khairuddin berkata kementeriannya dengan kerjasama Jabatan Peguam Negara dan Kementerian Perdagangan Antarabangsa dan Industri memfailkan suatu permohonan untuk konsultasi melalui mekanisme penyelesaian pertikaian di bawah WTO. Tindakan tersebut bagi menunjukkan keseriusan kerajaan dalam melindungi kepentingan industri sawit negara terhadap dasar yang dilaksanakan EU. Tindakan itu diluluskan hasil mesyuarat Jemaah Menteri pada 1 Julai 2020 susulan langkah-langkah yang dikenakan EU, Perancis dan Lithuania berkaitan pelaksanaan Delegated Regulation di bawah arahan tenaga boleh diperbaharui EU2 atau EU RED 2 yang memberi kesan kepada industri sawit negara.
Dan untuk membincangkan berkenaan dengan dagangan di Bursa Asia serta Bursa Tempatan dan juga prestasi ringgit, kita bersama dengan Stephen Innes, Ketua Pakar Strategi Pasaran Global Axis. Stephen, hi, thank you for joining us. Stephen, we will witness the beginning of a new era, the Biden-Harris era, on Wednesday. This new era could signal the end of a trade war or the trade war via Twitter, the ban on Chinese companies. How will markets in Asia react to this?
It's a very good question. I wish I had a salient answer for that, because right now we're hearing these route step beats encircling Capitol Hill because U.S. National Guards pulled out. All stops started to suppress any social unrest that may happen. So minority now in the U.S. That's not agreeing with the results of the election. This potential problem could see another blow-up escalate. Fingers crossed that doesn't happen, but the market's really focusing on the bigger picture. There's a lot of top talent that's been pulled together on the Biden economic team. The foreign governing element looks pretty strong. It looks like they're probably going to be opening up more dialogue internationally, not only with China but perhaps Iran. And this will probably bring down the overall level of geopolitical risk. And this is quite favorable. But we have to see what really happens here because there's a lot of things to deal with right off the bat. The number one priority is COVID. They're going to try to vaccinate the U.S. as quick as possible. The mandate that he's called for is 100 million vaccinations in the first 100 days. So we're going to keep an eye on that.
And Biden also announced a $1.9 trillion stimulus package. The U.S. vaccination program, as you mentioned, is still pretty slow, and the COVID-19 cases are still on the rise. Which sectors will probably benefit from the stimulus package?
Well, we really hope the sectors that needed the most, which are obviously the servicing sectors, restaurants and what have you, travels and what have you. We need to keep those open because those employ a huge part of the economy. It's very, very important to get those jobs back again. That'll be the first signpost that the economy is recovering. Look, the stimulus package was larger than anybody had expected, and it's probably going to get watered down a bit, but it's still going to be pretty hefty. This will cause a number of revisions, economic forecasts revisions by the street and also by the Fed. And this is a potential worry that the market's going through right now, that the Fed made policy pivot. What looks likely in 2021 is they're going to start to taper from the QE, their expansive QE. Market's in a little bit of a tizzy about that right now. However, the Feds have been out there just reminding everybody that, hey, we might be pulling back on QE, but we're not going to be raising interest rates, i.e. the front end rates, anytime soon, possibly not even until 2023. And this is overall going to suppress borrowing rates, so this should be pretty good for consumers. I just think we're at a little bit of a speed bump right now. We're just trying to digest the resurgence of COVID in China, what higher U.S. yields mean for the stock markets, and what the currency markets are doing. Because quite frankly, nobody thought the U.S. dollar was going to gain any strength this year. We thought it was a one-way road to the bottom of the hill, but that's not happening. So there's a lot of action going on in markets right now.
You mentioned consumers earlier. Will consumers instead focus on deleveraging and not spend as much as the investors are expecting when they, perhaps get their $1,600 check, based on the Biden stimulus package?
According to my wife, no. But according to the reality of facts, it could happen. But I think people have been saving a lot of money. I think people have been very, very cautious on their spending habits. And I think we saw that on the U.S. retail sales in December, where people didn't actually splurge typical holiday season. This obviously looks bad on the surface, but really it also hints at that narrative people are holding back. So my view here is when the vaccinations actually come out and we reach that herd immunity, there's going to be an explosive buildup, and I think that's when consumers are going to spend. Look, they're not just going to spend on goods; they're going to spend on houses, going to spend on cars, they're going to spend on everything, real estate, you name it. We're going to see an explosive inflation pressure hit the markets. The Feds knows this. Feds are sending out signals that they're going to start to taper just to tame the asset bubbles down a little bit, because invariably those are going to happen sometime by mid-year if we do achieve herd immunity.
Will the spending be big enough to achieve the 2% target set by the Fed?
The inflation, yeah, I mean, I just don't know. This is a ridiculous amount of stimulus. We've never seen anything like this. And, there's still a lot of stimulus in the background here that hasn't been used. And, the counter argument from the centrists is that, hey, we've still got a lot of stimulus sitting on the sideline. Why do we need a lot? What the government's done here is they're throwing out a huge number. Okay, maybe they won't use it all. Maybe they will. The likelihood that they'll use all this stimulus with a Democrat government in power now is more likely, because they're going to find other areas around social welfare programs to actually spend this. So this trickle-down effect will really hit virtually all sectors of the economy, and this will be good. Ultimately, this should provide an exceptional, boost to the inflation outlook. However, if we do reach into hyperinflation mode, and the PCE, which is the gauge that the Feds use to gauge inflation, it's a personal consumption expenditure component of inflation, that goes up to 3%. What are the Feds going to do? History tells me they'll raise rates. This is the one worry that we have to look at down the road when the Feds actually do pivot on the short date rates. Does that happen at the end of 21, sometime in 2022, or do they just put it off to 2023? My view is it's going to happen in 2022 early, and this is going to be the thing that we're going to see a build up to as we go towards the end of the year.
Let's talk about China's fourth quarter GDP to be announced at 10 a.m. today. What numbers are investors expecting? How will they trade based on this announcement?
Yeah, it's going to be the highest number, that we've seen, and just because the rebound from the pent up in 5 years probably, just due to the pent up demand that we've seen from a full stop to the reopening. So I think the markets have actually priced in a pretty high number. We're probably more looking at the current real-time data, which is really revolving around vaccinations, really revolving still around the mobility data. I think we'll get a better read off retail sales number that's coming out today. And the reason why I'm saying that is because retail sales has been lagging the manufacturing sectors in China. So we're constantly looking to see if consumers are starting to spend again. Look, China's been supporting the global economy, through their manufacturing sectors and exporting to the world. And this is really supporting mainland economy right now. But what's lagging is consumers. When consumers start spending, that's good for the rest of the world, because when the rest of the world comes out of lockdown, that means those export sectors from other countries will start to open up. And this is what will synchronize the global growth ripped off. So we need everything working in harmonious fashion. So we're going to be keeping an eye on the retail sales component of the China data today.
Let's jump straight to the MPC meeting by Bank Negara this week. How will that affect ringgit? Do you foresee a further OPR reduction by Bank Negara this week?
That's a good point. We're seeing that currently getting priced into the markets right now, where there are more thoughts here that the BNM could cut interest rates. Right now, we're in an environment where the U.S. dollar is strengthening because of U.S. higher yields. And the ringgit's a little bit was prone towards the end of last week because of falling oil prices. So yeah, it's very susceptible to a interest rate cut, because when differentials become very noticeably wider in the U.S. dollar favor, that's going to detract foreign investors from investing in Malaysian ringgit over the short term. However, an interest rate cut in this market is not necessarily a bad long-term thing for a currency, because it actually triggers growth. And so we have through the knee-jerk reactions, which usually last in currency markets 24 to 48 hours. And then I see a pivot back to the normalization view here that Asia is the head of the pack as far as economic performance coming out of this COVID environment.
And very briefly, Stephen, how will oil fare this week?
Yeah, you know, oil's been under pressure, and I think this is just a result of the resurgence of COVID in China. That's a pretty big, scary thing. I still think there's lots of support here. I think OPEC remains a linchpin for higher oil prices. We still have 1 million barrels per day cut coming in February and March from Saudi Arabia. We're starting to see this polar vortex split, which is just a sweeping of cold temperatures in the northern hemisphere, which should in fact drive demand for oil through power usage. And we think this is probably going to be able to buttress oil. It's not necessarily going to lift oil higher. It's probably going to support oil from where we are. Then the natural reopening trade will continue to push oil higher. I'm still looking for a target around $65 in Brent at some point this year. So there's considerable liftoff room, in my view, for oil markets to move forward throughout the rest of the year.
On that note, thank you very much, Stephen. Stephen Ines, Ketua Strategi Pasaran Global Aksi, membincangkan berkenaan dengan faktor pengaruhi pasaran global, Asia dan juga prestasi ringgit menjelang pengumuman OPR oleh Bank Negara Malaysia. Kita akan berhenti berehat sekali, kembali selepas ini.